Manny Machado was upset. Wilson Contreras was upset. You got Marmol against Schilt, Cardinals, Padres. Cardinals fighting for their playoff lives, but we all know that as we get closer to this trade deadline, the eye is on 2026 and beyond. That's really the focus of this entire season. But the Cardinals putting up a fight in the first two games. They lose yesterday 3-1. They just didn't have any offense to speak of. It was a weird game the game before that where the Cardinals beat the Padres 3-0. Great performance by the Cardinals in doing so, but you hardly ever see a team get 11 hits and not score a run. And that's what happened on Friday to the Padres, who lost the first two games. First one was a slugfest. Second one, they couldn't get a run to save their lives. And so Mike Schilt plays a little small ball yesterday to beat the Cardinals. We'll see what happens today. Michael McGreevy gets the start today. I said tongue-in-cheek after the Friday game on Twitter, Cardinals are going to sweep, aren't they? Hasn't it been that kind of a season for the Cardinals where the second you declare that this season is about development, period, runway, whatever you want to call it, they go 19-8 in May, and everyone's like, oh, here they go, and me included, oh, maybe they are good. They're a good team. And then in June they flop and they struggle and the rotation starts to get worn out, it looks like, and starts to get blown up. And suddenly you're thinking, all right, they're going to sell at the deadline. And then they win the first two games against the very team that they're chasing in the wild card. The Cardinals are an interesting team, but, they're just like buckle up and enjoy the ride as best you can. I know that people have fatigue. I totally understand. I grew up here. I love the Cardinals as an organization and what the history of the team means. Today is Hall of Fame weekend. Conclusion, the ceremonies in Cooperstown. The Cardinals are all over Cooperstown. Players, managers, broadcasters. St. Louis is all over Cooperstown. The Cardinals are baseball royalty. And to watch them go through years of mediocrity, some people are tired of it. So it's time to get this thing back on the tracks. And 4 days from the trade deadline, John Mozeliak is tasked with that, but it is a collaborative effort. You got to think that Chaim Bloom is involved in that, as Mo is going to help him set the table and hit the ground running for 26. It's already happening, going through the minor leagues and sort of combing through that, trying to figure out how to get that back on track. They've already made some strides there. And the Cardinals, they are what they are. I mean, they're a team with kind of a broken rotation. They don't have the rotation to win. I mean, Matthew Liberatore, love the guy, but he goes 4 1/3. The Cardinals starters, that's probably partly, Drew, why I said that on Friday. You get a win out of Miles Michaelis, who pitched pretty well. You're thinking, well, that's a great win. I mean, if Libby pitches halfway decent on Saturday and the Cardinals can support him, you got McGreevy waiting on Sunday. Maybe they will go sweep. They might take 3 out of 4, but all of it, whether they did or didn't, nothing changes. This is about 2026 and beyond, building this team into a machine again. We saw it for years under Bill DeWitt's guidance, because he was one of those who actually, you can bang on Bill DeWitt Jr. all you want, but he's a baseball guy and he is also a businessman. And so he found a way to get the most out of a franchise without overspending, but he understands baseball, and he had this team going when they first came to town. Walt Jocketty's making deals, and Tony La Russa's the stud manager, and all this stuff is going on. Still, there were critics because the Cardinals couldn't push it over the edge. 96, go to the NLCS, get thumped by the Braves, and get pushed out at the end. In 97, 98, 99, it was the McGuire years, which was fun and brought people back to the ballpark, but they didn't go anywhere, didn't make the postseason. And then 2000, Walt Jocketty and the Cardinals start wheeling and dealing, and they get all those great players coming in, and they were a powerhouse. Starting in 2000, 01, 02, just knocking on the door, 03, those battles with the Cubs, and then 04, one of the greatest Cardinals teams we've ever seen. And eventually they break through and win the World Series in 06. And then they win it again in 11. And those teams had some really good players. I mean, I know that you never say never when it comes to baseball, but those teams had star players. The Cardinals need to go back to growing, developing, drafting, developing star players and keeping them, retaining them, paying them, and then filling the holes with the big stud free agents. And they're just not there. And so it'll get back to that. At least that's the hope. Now, you have a stud in J.J. Weatherholt. You have a stud in Liam Doyle. Number 7, number 5 picks. Those don't come around very often. So you got to capitalize as best you can on those two that you just picked. The last time the Cardinals drafted, and they got him in the 4th round, developed, took about 4 years for him to be a starter. They drafted him in 2000, and in 2004, he started sharing time with Mike Matheny, and in 2005, he became a starter, and that's Yadier Molina. He's really the last one that they kept, and he became a superstar who is going to go to Cooperstown. Albert Pujols before him. Pujols went to the Angels, but still drafted, developed, star. You know, the Cardinals want to get back to that. That's what they want, and that's eventually what they're going to do. At least, again, that's the hope. I'm going to go through some of the highlights and reaction of yesterday's game. Again, I am looking at what is this team going to give me? Who's going to be part of this core in 2026 and beyond? And if they had gone on some wild winning streak, then great. Enjoy the ride. Have some fun with it. See if they can make a little noise in October. But really, this season has been about who's going to be on the bus moving forward. Who's going to fight, who's going to play well, who's going to develop, and how are the Cardinals going to do that? And I think that Ollie Marmol and his staff have done an admirable job of that. Of course, there have been some bumps in the road and some disappointments, but that's the roster that they have here. They said it at the beginning of the year, and now here they are. So trade deadline coming, season 2026 upcoming. It's going to be a crazy offseason, an intriguing offseason with Chaim Bloom taking over for John Mozeliak, but Mo is in charge for 3 more months. And part of that being in charge is overseeing the entire operation, making this the best transition for Chaim Bloom he possibly can. And that is what he's talked about on KMOX, and that he is what he is expected to do under the ownership of Bill DeWitt Jr. and all of the owners. So we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll go into the Cardinals highlights. Now, I was on the broadcast crew for City last night. I love that stadium. I just think it is an amazing atmosphere, and that ownership wants to win. That ownership has given everything to St. Louis to make that part of downtown great. What a beautiful complex and group of people. Unfortunately, they have a losing soccer team. I mean, that team just found another way to lose last night. So we'll get into that. We're going to honor the Hall of Famers today. And, you know, I don't know that we do this every year. I don't know why this irritates me. Maybe it's because ESPN has just kind of conceded this to MLB Network, and they have, you know, such strong ties to the NFL, and they want the NFL as the king and all that stuff. But like, today's Hall of Fame day, and they're live at the Commanders training camp on SportsCenter. Is it just me, or does that rub you the wrong way? Like, why isn't ESPN at Cooperstown? Man, that's a big class, man. Ichiro Suzuki, CeCe Sabathia, Billy Wagner, Dick Allen, Dave Parker. I don't know. I think that it's important for us at KMOX to do something when it comes to the Baseball Hall of Fame. KMOX is all over the Hall of Fame. Jack Buck, Harry Carey, Joe Garagiola, Bob Costas, and, you know, on and on. All of these big names, and there are more than that have been part of Bob Bragg, you know, that have been part of who we are. And then, of course, all the great players. But I am set on this. I think that today we're going to, at around 10:30, we'll go through the Hall of Famers and just give people a refresher as to what we're talking about here and what's to come, because there's a monster St. Louis class in 2028 to get excited about. And that's going to be here quicker than you think. And then at 10:45, Kirk Herbstreit might be the best college football analyst out there. Now, I know I have been critical of him in his favoritism of, you know, all these big brands, and as an Indiana fan, I let my bias come through. But we also are very helpful to Kirk. You know, he wanted to get the word out about something he's doing with Purina, and we absolutely took him up on that and want to make sure we get the word out about something really cool that he's doing with dogs, and we'll ask him a little bit about college football as well. 11:15, Lutz Pfannenstiel of City, John Mozeliak at 11:30, Bernie Miklasz at 11:45. It's a really good show. Appreciate everybody listening. Sports on a Sunday morning, going strong here on July 27th on Hall of Fame Induction Day. And when we come back, we'll tell you a little bit more about the Cardinals game last night. We'll get reaction from Wilson Contreras, and we'll hear about City and what happened last night in front of another sellout at Energizer Park. I'm Tom Ackerman. You're listening to Sports on a Sunday morning from the Stifel Sports Studio.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Zero Res. Celebrate National Carpet Cleaning Month with Zero Res and purchase 3 rooms of carpet cleaned. Get 1 free room plus $50 off your air duct services. You can book online at ZeroResSTL.com and take advantage of the savings. So they were just out at my house about a month ago, and they've been out half a dozen times over the years. But I'm always impressed. They are punctual. They are professional. They are compassionate. They are courteous. They work their tails off, and they just flat out get your carpets, your upholstery, your air ducts as clean as the day they brought them in. It's St. Louis. It's the dog days of summer. Those carpets are going to be getting gamey. Maybe you dropped some toasted ravioli in there, some barbecue, whatever it is you put into them, we can get that back out. 314-474-2020 or ZeroResSTL.com. Spell it forward, spell it backwards. It's always the same, Zero Res.
Dive into adventure this summer at the St. Louis Aquarium's Summer of the Shark. Get face to fin with some of the ocean's most awe-inspiring creatures in shark-themed exhibits, jaw-dropping displays, and interactive experiences for the whole family. Whether you're a fin-tastic fan or just curious, there's hands-on fun and fascinating facts around every corner at the St. Louis Aquarium. Don't miss your chance to make a splash. Plan your visit today at stlouisunionstation.com. That's stlouisunionstation.com.
We can get more sleep, we can get more sun, and we can get more exercise, but the one thing we can't get more of is time. It's time to eliminate the one phrase that could be holding you back from reaching your retirement goals. I'll take care of it tomorrow. It's time to pick up the phone and make the call to Gary Goldberg and the team at Financial and Tax Strategies, 314-991-9005, or online at checkwithgary.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Centaurus Financial, Inc., an FFC registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Gary Goldberg, NPN number 918-615.
The success you've already had matters at University of Maryland Global Campus because we're a school for real life. An accredited state university, UMGC lets you earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning and relevant life and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits toward a master's. We offer affordable tuition and online and hybrid courses. Classes start August 13th. Apply now and save with no application fee. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Now, back to the Great Bar Sports on a Sunday morning on 104.1 KMOX. From the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here is Tom Ackerman.
Thanks for being with us, Sports on a Sunday morning on KMOX. Let's pop in a few comments because I had a lot to say there. This is Real Third Man. Love when he jumps in. Compare the Cardinals to 2023 Arizona, player by player and team stats. Start from August 11th, if you like, until the World Series. Do they have a chance? Recent history would indicate so. I love your comments, Third Man, but the problem is I don't see the rotation doing that for you. You know, unless you're thinking they're going to be stacking relievers and going with openers and bullpen starts and all that stuff. I just don't see I don't see it. You know, the 11 had the greatest hitter I've ever seen. 06 had the greatest hitter I've ever seen, and Edmonds and Roland. I mean, that was really, really good team. You know, Chris Carpenter, and you know, it's just a different deal. 64 had a guy named Bob Gibson. And I just don't. I appreciate you though. Let's see who else we got. Josh Betts says, couldn't agree with you more, Tom. To me, there's no reason ESPN shouldn't have someone reporting live from Cooperstown today. I know we don't work for ESPN. I don't know why I always bring up SportsCenter, but it still is kind of the flagship sports show in America. And they're at Commanders training camp when the Hall of Fame is going on. I just, are you all that interested in NFL training camp right now? I miss covering NFL training camp. I loved it. I loved covering it. The Rams, it was fun. We had great relationships with the guys. I struck up a friendship with Isaac Bruce at training camp. I'll never forget waiting for him for an interview, and I was determined. I was not going to be denied. They said, Isaac is in the training room. I said, okay, I'll wait. So I waited out in the heat, 95 degrees, for a long time. And I think somebody came around and said, you're still here? I said, yeah. And guess what? Isaac came out and gave me the interview. And the next day I saw him in the lunchroom and he's like, hey. And I said, thank you so much. And he said, you were very welcome. And we were just friendly after that. You just got to know the guys. I loved covering NFL training camp, but I don't need to know everything about everything right now. Give me some preseason games. I haven't even thought about my fantasy team yet. Jeez. KT says MLB should do Hall of Fame on an entire league off day. Instead, it's buried in a day of regular season games. No other league does this. Interesting comment. If Major League Baseball is starting to think about how to market itself differently, maybe they do that during All-Star Week. Interesting. You know what, KT? I actually had not thought of that. It's not a bad call, actually. It's not that we're not that far away. You're not taking away from the All-Star game, are you? If you do something in Cooperstown, or maybe for travel reasons, that's too tough for everybody to go from, let's say, Atlanta to Cooperstown. Cooperstown's not easy to get to. So that's why it has its own weekend. The futures. I mean, I guess you could do it after All-Star. I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, it's worked for years and years, but maybe you have to change something up. All right. So the Cardinals last night played the Padres at Busch Stadium, and it was hot. Not only temperature hot, but the teams were running hot. Remember, Wilson Contreras gets hit a lot. He's been hurt from getting hit by pitches, so he's about done. And he got hit on Friday and didn't appreciate it. He barked at Pivetta because I was reading Contreras' lips. Pivetta said something and he said, what? Contreras said, what? And then he looked at Pivetta and he said, I'm not talking to you. So I think Pivetta said, don't talk to me. He said, I'm not talking to you, bleep. Back to Pivetta, and then benches cleared. No punches or anything like that. But, everybody ran out of the bullpen. All right, so here we are, Saturday evening, Busch Stadium, and this happened.
Pen as the pitch comes in to Contreras, and it hits him on the hand, and he is so aggravated, and so are the fans here at Busch Stadium. Contreras was just hit for the 16th time this year, and he is walking towards first base, and Vasquez is taking his hat off and walked towards Contreras.
We're going to have a conference here.
Yeah, well, they talked about it. Warnings were issued. Warnings have been issued. And this continued on. There were multiple batters hit in this game. Cronenworth got hit by Liberatore in this game. Machado got hit in this game. Let's go to the ninth inning now. And Andre Granillo is the pitcher. He's the one who was just called back up after Eric Fetty was DFA'd. Here's Granillo facing, it's Machado.
Especially as the Cardinals getting near the trading deadline.
Machado is hit by an inside pitch, and now he's looking out to Granillo. The home plate umpire steps in front of Manny Machado, who is protesting being hit for a second time tonight. Wilson Contreras comes down the line, and
here we go again.
He's going to talk with Manny and escort him to first base.
And somebody from the Cardinals bench is telling Machado to get to first base. Stop talking and get out of
and
here.
Now they're mixing it up a little bit. No punches being exchanged, but some wrestling going on about 10 feet up the first base line.
That's John Jay, who was shouting from the dugout, and they threw him out of the game. The Cardinals coach told Machado, get to first base. And, Jay comes from the La Russa school. La Russa didn't take any crap from anybody. So that happens. Mike Schilt used to say, I've heard him say, we don't start anything, but we will finish it, or something along those lines when he was Cardinals manager. So that happened. And then that wasn't the last time. Then Contreras gets hit again in the ninth inning. In the bottom of the ninth, Cardinals lose the game 3-1. This is Wilson Contreras visiting with reporters after the game. I have not listened to this ahead of time, Drew, so I don't know if there's any profanity in here. I don't think so, but we will stay on the dump button in case. Here you go.
17th times you've been hit this year. You broke your finger last year. How fed up with this are you?
Pretty much fed up. Like I said earlier today, I'm not trying to get injured or broken hand, broken finger. I think nobody will feel sorry for me, but that's enough. I know they're not trying to hit on purpose, but when you get hit around the wrist like I did tonight, it's really scary.
One of the things that Libby mentioned is that guys pitch inside, but not everybody has the command to pitch inside.
That's one thing that I've been saying for years. Like, you're a pitching coach, right? And you know your pitcher's command. But nowadays, it seems like they have no idea what they're doing. Because if you're a normal player, I know that it's going to be dangerous to go inside on a player. I would say, no, don't go there. Or go there before 2 strikes. Because I don't want anybody to get hurt. That will be coaching. But if they don't care, I don't care. And they're going to keep hitting me, that's fine. I'll get on base and try to score for them, for my team.
What's the right way for you guys to handle it?
Having everybody's back like we did tonight. I think that's the right way. Hopefully it ends there. And the last guy got hit again. I knew it was going to happen. But it's part of, I guess right now it's part of the game, and then we'll have to do something about it.
John Jay's an old school guy. How happy were you to see him kind of speak up? And
good. It's good. I mean, it feels better when bench is clear and the whole team is into it, rather than trying to push everybody back. But it was an emotional game tonight, for sure. Hopefully it ends up there. Tomorrow we have another one. Hopefully everything goes well and we just play baseball.
What you mentioned about just having each other's back, I mean, how important is that as a team, just to kind of see that kind of as a unit? And
it's really good, especially right now where we've been going through a tough stretch, and it seems like everybody has everybody's back here, and it's good to see that tonight.
Also, when the bench is cleared tonight, it seemed like you took it upon yourself to kind of separate things, make sure Manny was able to calm down at first base. What was going on in your mind when that all went down?
Nothing, just try to keep everything safe. Not starting to a fight in a brawl like that, because I know that anybody can get hurt in a brawl like that. I was just talking to Manny and say, like, that was not on purpose. It was the second time he got hit there, but it was 0-2 count. I got hit in an 0-2 count. The first pitch in the second, then my first hit by pitch tonight and the second hit by pitch tonight, the same count. Clearly seemed that they're trying to go up and in with 2 strikes. They don't care if they're gonna hit me or not. But that's the whole thing I was saying to Manny. That's like, he's a new guy. He's not trying to hit you, and the umpire got in his face too and told him that he didn't think that was on purpose. If he thought otherwise, he would throw out Granillo. But he said whatever, basically everything that I said. But yeah, I was happy.
Wilson, you've been doing this a long time. You know what you're doing at the plate. But last night, Pavetta said, "Well, you're a guy who dives out across the plate." Like, what do you say to that?
That makes me laugh. You should watch more video. That's it.
Your reaction tonight was different than last night. Did that have to do with the way the pitchers reacted differently?
Yeah, we're playing against San Diego Padres for a long time. Since I got to the big leagues, and we never had a beef like that. We never had any problem. We just played baseball. They have some nice guys over there, but I already have 17 hit by pitches, and every hit by pitch seems like close to my hand. And last year, I had a broken forearm. They almost broke my hand in April. It took me a week or 2 off. And then in August, I got a broken finger for a hit by pitch. So it's getting old. It's getting old.
Yeah, I get that. It is. Pavetta said that Contreras dives across the plate. Come on, man. I agree with Wilson. Watch the video. Look, I hated Wilson when he was a Cub. He really bothered me. Love this guy. I think this is you talk about guy on the bus. I want this guy on the bus. I want him the first off the bus to be the leader of the team, leading them into the ballpark. That's the kind of guy you want on your team right there. Not only fiery, but respected. Machado respects him. Machado listened to him. You want a little star power on this team, but also some fire and somebody that people respect. That's Wilson Contreras. That's a really good comment, too, about inside pitches on 0-2, that they don't care if it hits them, it hits them. So are they trying to hit them? No, they're coming up and in on 0-2. If you're going to hit a guy, hit a guy in the leg, hit him in the thigh, hit him in the rear end. That's where you plunk them to put them on base to send a message. Case closed. Got it. Got the message. Don't hit them on the hands or up near the head. That's not what we're talking about here. That's not baseball. It's that simple. So control your pitches. And he told Machado, Granillo's not trying to hit you. The same thing. He came inside and hit him. But on the other side, even if they're not trying, if you're going to come inside, control where you're going to throw inside. Don't risk throwing a 90-mile-an-hour pitch at somebody's head. So I understand Contreras's consternation there, shall we say. Now to City, and just briefly on City, and then we're going to get into the Baseball Hall of Fame, and we'll talk to Lutz about City. But City is a team that finds ways to lose. And I don't know how else to put it. This team looked so good in the first half. Let's take a listen to a couple of highlights. Start with this one, Drew. Go ahead.
Can we do it here? Launched into the box from the right side. Pompeo back door. Got a piece. Hits it off the outside of the netting. Nice ball from Conrad Vollum. He had an assist from basically the same spot in City's last home win a couple of weeks ago.
Boy, Pompeo is fun to watch. So is this guy, the new player, Sang-Bin Jong.
The buy-in has only increased for Minnesota. Here's Leuven, long launch. Sang-Bin brings it down in the box. He takes a shot. Oh, it hugs the post but goes wide.
He's got to finish those, but he's fast. I really like watching him. Klaus is so gifted. Here's Klaus.
Swiped off his foot. Picked up by Padelford. Beats Diaz. Floats to a back post. Header. Klaus cleared off the line by a Minnesota defender.
Boxall.
Oh, Boxall, the New Zealand national team star, saves the day, at least so far for Minnesota United.
Yeah, Boxall, that veteran defender, is really, really good for Minnesota. But this field was tilted in the first half. This was all City all day. And finally, they break through with a PK. Edward Leuven. That's all right. You don't have to play it. Leuven scores, and they get the 1-0 lead. Then in the second half, 2 PKs. You don't have to play them either. I'll just tell them because it's the same thing. Hesitation score on Berkey, and that would be Kelvin Yeboah. He's a very good one. At one point, though, Chris Durkin gets a red card, and, Yeboah goes down like a sack of potatoes after he gets hit on the shoulder. It's a red card anyway from Durkin. He probably wishes he could take that back. Yeboah scores. It's a 1-1 game in the 75th minute. Then a replay shows a handball that puts the ball back. Yeboah right there on the dot. He ends up scoring another PK, and it's 2-1 Minnesota, game over. I mean, it's a disappointment because City had been playing so well. You can't pin it on the refs, though. If you're City, you've got to finish. I mean, you're playing that well. You can't have your only goal be a penalty kick. You've got to find a way to put that team away. And City wasn't pleased. You could tell. Klaus is, he complains a lot out there. He was taken out of the game, probably took himself out of the game pretty much, raising his hand. He looked like he was gassed. Berkey was barking at Yeboah for celebrating after his second goal. They were frustrated, but they should be. I mean, they just find ways to lose the games, whereas in their first year here, they were finding ways to win. So they've got to figure out a way to reverse that. City let one get away last night, 2-1. We'll talk to Lutz Pfannenstiel about it on the way at 11:15. But I had a blast on the broadcast. Jen Cease was off just for one. She'll be back for the next one. But Joey Zanaboni, Dale Schilly, very talented. I had a lot of fun sitting to their left with a headset on, just listening to them do work. I just jumped in, did pregame, halftime, a couple of score updates. Otherwise, I was a listener just like you on Y98, and it was fun to hear him. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll tell you about our Hall of Famers going in today, and then Kirk Herbstreit will join us to talk some college football and about a project he's doing with Purina. Lutz, Mo, Bernie, all in the 11 o'clock hour. This is Sports on a Sunday morning from the Stiefel Sports Studio.
KMOX Weekend at your service, sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation.
The Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight, how an innovative immunotherapy is showing promise against aggressive T-cell cancers. Joining us is Dr. John DiPersio.
Until very recently, until this paper and a few other groups in the world have sort of developed approaches for T-cell malignancies, there was no hope for patients who relapsed. There were no effective therapies. This is a way of treating these patients that would normally have no other recourse.
For more information, visit siteman.wustl.edu.
When we started Neovitin back in 2009, we wanted to create a multivitamin that we would take ourselves. That's why we use quality ingredients in our Neovitin Original Formula multivitamin. With over 20 vitamins and minerals, along with our physician-formulated proprietary blend, you can be sure you are getting the highest quality daily nutritional support. Give Neovitin Original Formula multivitamin a try for yourself. Find it at your local Schnucks, Dierbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights, at home or at work. We'll make your happy place your own. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu. My Computer Career, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
Now, back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning on 104.1 KMOX. From the Stiefel Financial Sports Studio, here is Tom Ackerman.
Some of my favorite memories working at KMOX are covering the Hall of Fame, and they always will be, and there's a big one coming. In 2028, Albert Pujols will go into the Hall of Fame. He will be a near, if not unanimous, selection for the Hall of Fame. I never understood why there can't be unanimous. So, like, what are these voters doing? Mariano Rivera is the only unanimous. Like, how is Ichiro not unanimous? But he did miss, I think, by one. But he's going into the Hall of Fame, and so is Billy Wagner and CC Sabathia, Dave Parker, Dick Allen. We'll tell you about him. But in 2028, Albert Pujols is eligible to go into the Hall of Fame, and so is Yadier Molina. So I'd better book my Airbnb right now, or as soon as they make me, as soon as I'm allowed to, because that's going to be a heck of a week spending with those two guys who I love dearly. And it's possible that Pete Rose goes into the Hall of Fame that year. We'll see. We'll see. The steroid guys have not. Bonds, McGuire, Sosa, Clemens, they've all been left out. So I wonder what will happen to Rose if now, if the ban is lifted, what happens to Rose moving forward? I don't know the answer to that. But 2028 to me is about Pujols and Yachty, and that's going to be amazing. And I loved being there in 2018 for Bob Costas, our KMOX alum. I had an amazing time with him. He granted me some terrific access at the Otesaga Hotel. 2014, Tony La Russa gave me access as well to the tune of, he was hard to kind of get a hold of one-on-one because we discussed things sort of in a group setting. And then I saw him at the Cardinals, threw a wonderful party for him in Cooperstown and spent some time with him. But after the ceremony, he's heading to a limo, basically, with Joe Torre. And I went back to track him down, and he turned, he goes, Tom. I said, Tony, can I do that one-on-one now? And he said, yes. He goes, Joe, hang on just a second. And Joe's like, oh, hey. And I did an interview with Tony right in front of their glamorous SUV, which was about to take them away. And it was just a fun little memory of the first person to talk to Tony after he gave his speech is kind of how I felt. And that was very special. Before that, the most special trip to Cooperstown of all was with my dad. And that was in 1993. It was just before he passed away suddenly of a heart attack. So it is an emotional time every time I go to Cooperstown. I can't wait to go up there for a fourth time. Maybe I'll go before 2028, but definitely 28 is on the radar. In the meantime, we have a great class today, and I just want to talk for a moment about them. Ichiro Suzuki, the first Japanese player inducted into the Hall of Fame. He is one vote shy of the second unanimous selection. Ichiro was a 2-time batting champion, 10-time All-Star and Gold Glove outfielder. His numbers, 311 batting average lifetime, 117 home runs, but I contend he could have hit 517 if he wanted to. You ever watch him in batting practice? He could hit them at will, but he was a hitter. 780 RBIs, 509 stolen bases, mostly with the Seattle Mariners, but we also got to see him in the National League with the Marlins. And he played for a brief time with the New York Yankees. Just an incredible contact hitter. He had 3,089 hits. That's just in Major League Baseball, because in Japan, he had 1,278 hits on top of that. So, yes, he had a combined over 4,000 hits in his career, 4,367. If you're curious, yes, that is more than Pete Rose. 4,256. Ichiro Suzuki going into the Hall of Fame today. CC Sabathia, 2007 AL Cy Young Award winner, just a dominant pitcher for a good portion of his career and a winner. That's what you could say about Sabathia. You always knew you had a chance to win the ball game when he was on the mound. Billy Wagner, who for me personally, my biggest memory of Wagner is hitting a walk-off home run against Mark McGwire. Hit a walk-off home run against Wagner in 1998, 511 feet into the upper deck concourse. Just an absolute monster. And afterwards, Jeff Bagwell told him, I would love to forearm punch or forearm bash McGwire, because that was cool, power on power. And Wagner said he told Bagwell, I'd like to forearm bash you in the face. To his teammate, just having a little fun with some of the home runs he's given up. And then Dave Parker, at a time he was the best player in the game for a brief period of time, but over his career, rocket arm, big time power, the Cobra, posthumously inducted today. And Dick Allen, who also has a Cardinals connection. Parker was a hitting coach with the Cardinals in 98. Allen played for the Cardinals in 1970. Parker made his name with the Pirates and Reds, Allen with the Phillies. A couple of big-time hitters there as well. That's a great 5-man class going into the Hall of Fame. We certainly appreciate all those contributions, not to mention Tom Boswell, the retired Washington Post columnist, and Tom Hamilton, who is a tremendous listen as the voice of the Cleveland Guardians. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we are going to hear from Kirk Herbstreit, ESPN's college football analyst on ABC, ESPN, and also you know him best on the set of College Game Day. We discuss Lee Corso, college football, but also a big project that he's working on with a local company, Purina, and we are more than happy to accommodate Kirk with that. Give it a little publicity. We'll do it when we come back.
It doesn't take a lot to make a big difference.
That's why we've teamed up with Jerry Kelly Heating and Cooling to bring you 100 acts of kindness.
For the next 6 months, the Chris and Amy Show is challenging you to spread kindness in simple, meaningful ways. No big budget needed.
Write a thank you note, help a neighbor, surprise someone with a smile. It all counts.
Let's prove that kindness is contagious. Share your acts with us by using hashtag 100KindActs.
Because a little kindness goes a long way.
Hi, I'm Andrew Suntrup. Buying your brand new Buick or GMC has never been easier. Here at Suntrup Buick GMC, our family-owned and operated dealership has been proudly servicing St. Charles County for over 30 years by always providing aggressive pricing, a massive inventory selection, and exceptional customer service. Buying from Suntrup means you get the best vehicle at the best price. Visit Suntrup Buick GMC today or visit us online at suntrupbuickgmc.com and save more at Suntrup Buick GMC.
Don't miss Mosby Building Arts Home Improvement Show, Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KMOX. One of the last call-in shows where you can get live answers to your remodeling, design, and construction questions. Tune in Saturdays at 11 a.m.
For residential and commercial heating repair, service, maintenance, or installation, contact Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation. With over 50 years of HVAC service, get in your comfort zone this winter. Visit aircomfortservice.com. That's aircomfortservice.com.
Feel like everything's clouded by doubt? Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com. Our psychics are available to talk 24/7, and we guarantee if it's not life-changing, it's free. Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
Snakes, zombies, public speaking. The list of fears is endless. But the real danger is in your hand when you're behind the wheel. Distracted driving is what's really scary and even deadly. Eyes forward. Don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/fax or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan with McKelvey Homes. All good things must come to an end, and this is your last chance to move to the Preserve. Choose for one of our 6 move-in ready market homes or our magnificent Turnberry display at Mackenzie and Watson Road. Enjoy the many trails, lakes, and loads of wooded common ground at this terrific location. Take advantage of the tremendous savings and special 5.5% 30-year fixed financing on select homes. Visit McKelveyHomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
Now, back to the Great Bar Sports on a Sunday morning on 104.1 KMOX. From the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here is Tom Ackerman.
I'm Tom Ackerman. Welcome back to KMOX. Joining us is Kirk Herbstreit. Boy, I'll tell you, I have been watching College Game Day for as long as I can remember. I just turned 50. It is a big part of my life, and I know it's part of his. Kirk Herbstreit is one of the top college football announcers, hosts, analysts in America, and talking about a new project that blends 2 of his biggest passions, sports and dogs. Kirk, welcome to KMOX. How are you?
I'm great, Tom. By the way, happy belated birthday. A big one for you.
Thank you. Yeah, the big 5-0. You are a 5-time Emmy Award winner. You're also a dog owner, which I know you're equally proud of both, and you're teaming up with Purina Pro Plan for the next installment of Fueled By. This is a video series that offers an intimate look at elite athletes and their dogs. We know all about your college football analysis, but we also know about your love for dogs and what you've gone through over the past year.
Yeah, I lost my dear friend Ben last year in November, right in the middle of the football season, which was a tough time, and it played out on national TV. I think people fell in love with Ben. In fact, I got a letter from the White House when Ben passed away from Joe Biden, just saying how much he cared about Ben. And so he touched a lot of people. And I have 4 dogs. I got a puppy named Bo, who's now in the house, and ProPlan approached me and asked me to be a part of this series, Fueled By, that you mentioned, where we visit with some elite athletes. George Kittle of the 49ers, who's obviously known for what he is on the field, but just a diehard dog owner. Sophia Wilson, Rose Lavelle, and the U.S. Women's National Team with soccer. And we just had a chance to visit with them and get to know them better as people and as dog owners. And what we found they all have in common is what I'd probably, Tom, you and so many others out there is these dogs are family members, and putting the right nutrition in them and taking care of them and giving them the best chance of having a great life is essentially important to all of us. And so ProPlan realizes that. They have so many different opportunities to give your dogs different types of food, depending on the age, the activity level, the breed. And so that was what really drew me to being a partner with them, and had a great time doing it.
There's no doubt. I mean, when our boys, Joey and Bear, look you in the eye, I mean, they are, they're family. And thanks for supporting a great local company like Purina, by the way. It means a lot. What else does this video series focus on?
Well, and being able to sit down with these athletes, one thing I learned, of course, you would expect is many of them were either in the middle of a workout, about to go to a workout, coming out of a workout. I mean, as you know, to get to that level, I mean, it's 12 months out of the year, 24/7, not only training, but what they put in their bodies to fuel their bodies. And what I thought was really cool is the same passion I have for my dogs, they have for theirs. And they're trying to find, just like they do for themselves, they want to find the right food to put into their dogs. And they were very, very serious about it. Their dogs travel with them. They live, they are on planes. They live, different places throughout the country. And so, like you just mentioned, we look at our dogs like our children or family members. And so you want to take care of them. And so that's the thing that I think we all of us had in common was, what can we do to help our dogs, to make sure that we're feeding them the right thing. Like one of my dogs, Theo, he's 8 years old. He used to be a dog that was, we'd take a walk and he was leading the way. And now he's back with me walking, and the younger ones are out front, taking off in the woods. And so what we feed Theo versus what we feed the younger dogs is obviously very different. And I was just thrilled to see it's in the old days, it was just, here's the dog food, you feed it to them. And now with ProPlan, they're just, again, so many different options depending on that activity level, and we can meet the needs of each individual dog.
Where can people find Fueled By?
If you go, it's pretty simple. If you go to YouTube and search ProPlan, you'll see different video that'll pop up each week with myself and with George and Sophia and Rose, and get a chance to get to know these great athletes, more than just being great players, but also dog owners like the rest of us. And
Herbie, with this being St. Louis, again, thanks for supporting Purina. It's also, one of the few, your home area there of Cincinnati, knowing that state in Ohio is a Big Ten SEC footprint as well. Very few markets cross over like that. But just your outlook on the Big Ten and the SEC. Has the Big Ten finally passed the SEC?
Well, in the last 2 years, the Big Ten has won the national championship, and then when they met head-to-head in a lot of the bowl games last year, you know about the Fighting Illini against South Carolina. Anytime the Big Ten and the SEC go head-to-head, it's always a big deal. Unfortunately, being a Big Ten guy, a lot of times it goes the other way. But last year, the Big Ten had the upper hand, which as a Big Ten fan, it was great to see. But let's not kid ourselves. The world of realignment. You have Oklahoma and Texas now joining into the SEC, of Oregon and Washington and USC and UCLA now in the Big Ten, which for me, Tom, is still kind of crazy to think. But those are the two behemoths in our sport. They continue to get stronger and stronger. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how this season plays out and see how many of these teams that we expect to be great, if they find answers, because a lot of them have new quarterbacks and some big holes to fill.
And finally, if you've ever been on a game day set, which I've been able to do a couple of times, that it's very special, but also the relationship that you all have behind the scenes is, you talk about family. Your relationship with Lee Corso is very, very special, Kirk.
Yeah, it is. I mean, he turns 90 August 7th. He's decided to step away. He's had an amazing run. I think it was 38 or 39 years on College Game Day and working at ESPN. He's doing one more show, the first show of the year, August 30th, which will be Texas at Ohio State. It's the location of his first headgear that he ever wore, Brutus the Buckeye, and it'll be his last. And so we're going to honor him. We're going to we did a nice tribute to him at the ESPYs a few weeks ago, and we'll definitely celebrate his career one more time on that first College Game Day in Columbus. And he's like another second father to me. So he will be missed, but in the meantime, we're going to celebrate him one last time.
Very, very nice. Just an incredible experience for us viewers time and time again. And I wish you the best on Fueled By, the docu-series, and thanks for supporting Purina Pro Plan.
You got it, Tom. Have a great week, bud.
You too. Great to spend time with Kirk Herbstreit on KMOX.
Now is the perfect time to start on your next success. Apply now and save with no application fee. Classes start August 13th. An accredited state university, University of Maryland Global Campus, offers online and hybrid courses. Plus, you can earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits towards a master's. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chevy.
When you haven't found love, it can feel like everyone else has. It's in every movie, every song, and all the PDA. Looking for love sucks. Thankfully, California Psychics can give you the guidance you need to find the one. We guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. And new customers receive 20 minutes for just $20. Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com and experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
Man, the heat has been killer for our comfort in the last week or so. We got swamped, and I'm not going to tell you to call me when we can't take care of you in a reasonable amount of time. But I've been hearing this, and it's interesting to where people want to get prices for new equipment. A word of advice on what you replace it with if you do not call me. Keep this in mind. Don't jump the shark and say, well, the more I spend, the more my bills go down. You and only you know what you spend a month on your utilities for cooling and heating. If you were told you need a new air conditioner or you know it's just not working for you, call me. Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois. The only number, Missouri and Illinois, is 314-293-2600. God bless.
Actual price will depend on product and subscription plan. Featured products are compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information.
Want a boost in and out of the bedroom? Hims has you covered. Introducing a new 2-in-1 approach to level up your game. Tadalafil for better bedroom performance and zinc for testosterone support. Put it all together and you've got what you need to turn things all the way up. Getting started is simple. Just go to hims.com/joy to start your free online visit. Through Hims, you can access ED treatments, including pills, chews, and more, 100% online. No office visits, no pharmacy lines. Just fill out a simple intake form and a licensed medical provider will determine if treatment's right for you. If prescribed, it ships free and discreetly to your door. Find affordable treatment options at up to 95% less than brand names at hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy, HIMS.com/JOY.
News, talk, cards. KMOX AM St. Louis, KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Heather Bosch.
Aid trucks roll into Gaza. Israel is pausing fighting in 3 parts of the territory. It's not a ceasefire, but it is allowing more food into an area where there's severe hunger. Linda Gradstein reports.
The Army said the humanitarian pause will take place in areas where the Army is currently not operating with ground troops, including Al-Mawasi, Deir al-Balah, and Gaza City, every day from 10 a.m. until 8 p.m. The Army said it is meant to increase the scope of humanitarian aid entering the Strip. Egyptian press reports said aid from Egypt has also begun to enter Gaza.
In an effort to avoid a trade war, President Trump is meeting with the European Commission chief in Scotland right now. The BBC's Will Vernon.
A number of senior US officials have flown in here to Scotland to assist with the negotiations, and those talks are absolutely crucial because if a deal is done, it would be absolutely huge. The EU is a gigantic trading bloc. The US is its biggest trading partner, and Donald Trump has threatened to slap 30% levies on all EU goods from August the 1st.
In Traverse City, Michigan, 11 people are recovering after police say a man walked into a Walmart store yesterday and started stabbing people, apparently at random. Grand Traverse County Sheriff Mike Shea.
No area is immune to this type of activity, unfortunately. And 11 is 11 too many. But thank God it wasn't more.
A 42-year-old Michigan resident is in custody. The Department of Justice questioned Jeffrey Epstein's convicted accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, days ago. Today, more calls for the Epstein case files to be released. Democratic Congresswoman Madeleine Dean on CNN State of the Union.
Release the files. It isn't just Maxwell and Epstein who knows what happened here when you traffic hundreds of girls and women.
No relief yet from the scorching temperatures across much of the U.S. South, Midwest, and East. Meteorologist Brian Hurley.
132 million folks are under some sort of heat headline. Most of them are under heat advisories. And, the difference there is how high the heat index is expected to get. For heat advisories, it's generally 105 degrees. For extreme heat warnings, we were looking at 110.
Erica Hidlinger Wood is in Charlottesville.
The heat can be so dangerous, honestly. I think it's really important to have those cooling centers open, especially for people who don't have ready access to AC.
Charlottesville has opened multiple cooling centers. Residents can have free access to air conditioning and water. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
At 11:03, we have a mix of clouds and sun and 82 downtown at the Arch. Good morning. I'm Scott Jagow. Our top story this hour, Lincoln County has issued a state of emergency after severe flash flooding in Ellsbury. Flooding started late last night, and since then, crews have performed several dozen water rescues. The hardest hit area was between 2nd and 7th on the south side of town along Highway 79. It is a low-lying area, but doesn't flood often. No injuries or deaths have been reported. A shelter has been opened in town. Hazelwood police are looking for a gold-colored 4-door Buick. It's wanted for dragging a police officer during a traffic stop yesterday. This happened on Burke Ridge Drive. The officer pulled over the car that was wanted out of St. Louis County. The suspect drove off, dragging the officer a short distance. He was able to break free and was hospitalized with minor injuries. If Missouri Senator Josh Hawley has his way, Americans could see a rebate.
The senator says on X that President Trump appears to support Hawley's proposed legislation.
Thinking about a rebate. That's a very good question. You just made a lot of news. We're thinking about a rebate because we have so much money coming in.
President Trump answering reporters' questions on the potential rebate, but he says the big thing he wants to do is pay down debt. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
Fairmount Park Casino and Racing is canceling this Tuesday's racing due to the heat. Park officials say the safety and well-being of the horses, riders, and guests is the top priority, and temperatures will be around 100 on that day. They're saying that's the most responsible choice. There is an extreme heat warning through 7 p.m. Tuesday, and the real feels over the next couple of days will be between 100 and 110, especially tomorrow and Tuesday. Today, 92, maybe a storm in the afternoon. Overnight around 80, 98, then 100 on Tuesday, 95 on Wednesday with a storm possible. And Thursday, finally, the heat backs off, only 81 degrees. Right now, it's 82 in St. Peter's, 81 in Florissant, and 82 downtown. I'm Scott Jagow, KMOX News.
From KMOX Sports, this is the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning. Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. Now, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here is Tom Ackerman.
Cardinals lineup is out. Here's the batting order that the Padres are going to try to hit. Did I say that out loud? Here's the batting order that the Cardinals are going to have against Padres pitching. Brendan Donovan will lead off and play second base. Ivan Herrera is the DH batting second. Alec Burleson in left field. He'll bat third. Wilson Contreras is the cleanup hitter. He's at first base. Nolan Arenado is at third base batting fifth. Mason Wynn, the shortstop, bats sixth. Jordan Walker, he's been swinging it, I think, pretty well from what I can tell. He's the right fielder batting seventh. Pedro Pajes behind the plate bats eighth. And Victor Scott II is the center fielder batting ninth today. Donovan, Herrera, Burleson, Contreras, Arenado, Wynn, Walker, Pajes, and Scott. This Padres team has some serious firepower. Fernando Tatis Jr. leads off and plays right field. Luis Arraez is the first baseman batting second. Manny Machado plays third base, bats third. Jackson Merrill, the center fielder, is the cleanup hitter. Xander Bogaerts is the DH batting fifth. Gavin Sheets is the left fielder batting sixth. Jake Cronenworth, the second baseman, bats seventh. Jose Iglesias is the shortstop batting eighth. And Elias Diaz is the catcher batting ninth. Tatis, Arraez, Machado, Merrill, Bogaerts, Sheets, Cronenworth, Iglesias, and Diaz. The pitching matchup, McGreevy against Kolek. Cardinals and Padres at 1:15, 12:20 for the pregame. The Cardinals trying to win 3 out of 4 in this series. They're 2.5 out of the final wildcard spot in the National League. John Mozeliak will be joining us at 11:30 coming up here on the show to talk about the trade deadline. Let's get you updated on the trades that have already happened. The Yankees busy again yesterday. They acquired Ahmed Rosario from the Nationals. This was a day after they picked up Ryan McMahon from the Rockies, their talented third baseman. So the Yankees pick up 2 infielders, Rosario and McMahon. Rosario from the Nationals for a pair of prospects, and McMahon from the Rockies for a pair of prospects. One of them is Griffin Herring, left-handed pitcher, 1.71 ERA, 102 strikeouts in 89 and a third innings at single A and high A this season. And that's an interesting prospect, but, you know, 2 couple of low-level A prospects for Ryan McMahon. And Rosario comes over from the Nationals. Randall Grichuk, our old buddy, is going to the Kansas City Royals from the Diamondbacks for right-handed pitcher Andrew Hoffman. The Royals need some offense. Their outfielders are hitting a combined .218. So they go and get Grichuk, who's 33. He has 7 home runs, 22 RBIs, hitting .243. They're going to try to get a little lightning out of him. Hoffman is a pitcher, made his MLB debut May 30th, 55 strikeouts in 40 innings with AAA Omaha. He goes over to the D-backs, and Grichuk goes to the Royals. Diamondbacks are sellers, so everyone's wondering where Eugenio Suarez is going to go. Not going to go to the Yankees. They picked up Ryan McMahon instead of Suarez. Some of the other deals, Mets picked up lefty Gregory Soto from the Orioles for a couple of prospects. Mariners acquired Josh Naylor, the first baseman from the Diamondbacks, for a couple of prospects as well. The Cardinals, will keep an eye on that. The coverage of the Hall of Fame induction, MLB Network has that. Looks like that starts at 1:30, but I think their coverage starts at 12:30. And again, big class, Ichiro, along with CC Sabathia, Billy Wagner, Dick Allen, Dave Parker. What a group that is going into the Baseball Hall of Fame. So sad that Dave Parker passed away just weeks before his induction, but it is a big one. If you're a racing fan, it's a good day for you as well. A couple of big races today. The Brickyard 400 is running at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, NASCAR Cup race on TNT. Their coverage begins at 1 o'clock today. Chase Briscoe, the Indiana native, is on the pole for that one. And Alex Palou is on the pole for the 2 o'clock Fox broadcast of the Grand Prix of Monterey. IndyCar is running and NASCAR Cup running at the same time today. So Fox will have IndyCar and TNT will have NASCAR. Caitlin Clark's on national TV today as Indiana at Chicago on ABC. That one is a 2:00 tip. And the Hall of Fame induction ceremony is the headliner of baseball, but Sunday Night Baseball is the Mets at the Giants on ESPN at 6:00. We have Cardinal baseball, again, 1:15, 12:20 pregame, the Cardinals and the San Diego Padres. We also have Lutz Pfannenstiel, sporting director for City. He is coming up at 11:15. We'll talk to him about last night's game at Energizer Park and just his overall feelings about the team. A week ago, if you recall, he jumped on this show and he said, I'm just going to tell it to you how I feel. He said the way they played after they gave up the first goal to Dallas was disgraceful and embarrassing. And he said, don't just sit there in the room like a little mouse. Go out there and fight. And he was pretty strong in his criticism of that team. Be curious to hear what he thought this time around. They were great at the start. First half was phenomenal, and then they just lost another game. They end up not getting any points out of it. That's the way it's gone this year for St. Louis City SC. 11:30, John Mozeliak, Cardinals president of baseball operations, with us, as he always is whenever he can. Last week he was traveling and was unable to join us. He was up in the air, so it's good to have him back with us. And then at 11:45, as always, Bernie Miklasz. Big 11 o'clock hour, sports on a Sunday morning from the Stifel Sports Studio. We'll take a break. Lutz is on deck on KMOX.
Summer is here. Time to enjoy baseball, barbecues, and the shade of your trees. When it comes to tree care, call the certified arborist at Gamma Tree Experts. Hi, I'm Tim Gamma. Protect your valuable trees from storm damage or devastating insects such as the emerald ash borer. Knowledge and quality are hallmarks of our reputation. For pruning, spraying, fertilization, or removals, call Gamma Tree Experts today at 314-725-6159 or visit us at gammatree.com. Your trees deserve the best care.
Feel like your paycheck barely keeps up with your life? At the Financial Freedom Seminar, learn how real people are building passive income and retiring early using real estate. It's all happening live in St. Louis with Lifestyles Unlimited, September 27th and 28th. You'll leave with a step-by-step plan to change your future. Text radio to 88007. That's September 27th and 28th. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007 now.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Zero Res. Celebrate National Carpet Cleaning Month with Zero Res and purchase 3 rooms of carpet cleaned. Get 1 free room plus $50 off your air duct services. You can book online at ZeroResSTL.com and take advantage of the savings. So they were just out at my house about a month ago, and they've been out half a dozen times over the years. But I'm always impressed. They are punctual. They are professional. They are compassionate. They are courteous. They work their tails off, and they just flat out get your carpets, your upholstery, your air ducts as clean as the day they brought them in. It's St. Louis. It's the dog days of summer. Those carpets are going to be getting gamey. Maybe you dropped some toasted ravioli in there, some barbecue, whatever it is you put into them, we can get that back out. 314-474-2020 or ZeroResSTL.com. Spell it forward, spell it backwards. It's always the same, Zero Res.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-207-4545. That's 800-207-4545. Once again, that's 800-207-4545.
You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Now, back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning on 104.1 KMOX. From the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here is Tom Ackerman.
Joined now by the sporting director for St. Louis City SC. It was good to see him last night. Lutz Pfannenstiel joins us on KMOX. Good morning, Lutz.
Good morning, Tom.
It was nice seeing you. I'm sorry that it ended that way. It was such an incredible first half, I thought, dominating, in fact. It was nice to be part of the broadcast team, and I thought I was bringing the good luck and the good fortune. But in the end, it was another loss as things got away from City in the second half. Before we get into the particulars, just your overview of the match, if you would.
Yeah, it's also good to see you yesterday. Very similar impression what you just said. I think the first half was really good. It looked, and I think we were talking after the game, it looked probably one of our best halves we played all season. You know, we had a complete domination. We had lots of chances. I think we had over 70% of possession, close to 80% at one point. But we knew that also that Minnesota is one of these teams. They do sit back, they wait, and they always have the quality to hurt you. And I think the chances were there. We should have been halftime probably 2-0 up or 3-0 up, which would have been completely different. And then the second half, I think we were a bit too passive. We didn't really come out from the changing room, from the lockers, and had that aggression and the counter-pressing moments, which we had in the first half, where we won basically every ball back very high up and immediately can put on the pressure. And then it had to be 2 penalties, not very clever defended penalties, to be honest. And I think with the red card for Chris Durkin, which, him being out for so long, coming on, and within 10 minutes getting this red card, that's tough for him as well, to be honest. And then with 10 men against 11 in that heat, lots of players on the field who just recently came back. So we knew that we have to make a good number of changes. Yeah, it was definitely, disappointing, but I really think looking at the performance, we deserved much more than walking off the pitch yesterday, and it was nothing.
I agree with you. Durkin with the red card, you're right. I mean, that's a tough one because you hadn't seen him in a while. He walks onto the pitch and 10 minutes later he's out, but it's the call you have to make. You pull somebody's shoulder when they don't get an opportunity to score. It's got to happen. That's unfortunate. And then Calvin Yeboah does what he does. He scores on Berkey, and he ended up scoring again. The 2-1 loss, but I go back to what you said in that first half. Like, as exciting as Sangbin Jong is, and he is, I'm sure he would have liked to have finished that chance. And Klaus and Pompeo, there were a lot of opportunities there to get it done, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah, I think, talking about Sangbin, but also I think you have to talk about Devin Pedalford. Both boys came on from Minnesota. I thought they did really well. It looked very good. Also, Devin defensively going forward on the left wing, really gelling well with Celio Pompeu. And Sangbin, we knew exactly, what his way of playing is. I would say that very clearly, that I think he fits very, very much more to our playing style than he fitted with Minnesota, which is more deep and playing without wide players as a back five. Now, the way we are set up in our normal 4-2-3-1, him being a wide player, he has that pace, he has the speed, he has the one-on-one skills to always be dangerous. And I think that helps us along in the long term. It helps us being more dangerous, and especially long balls, diagonal balls, also long balls from Roman Berkey. That's a player who can really be the end of that and be dangerous. And his work rate, I think you saw that, the work rate against the ball, the amount of runs, the amount of sprints he had also defensively is really good. So both of the new guys are really promising. I think that's something we really need to look forward to the next few weeks. And this afternoon, Falufal will arrive in the United States as well. So that's Another one which we really desperately need to have one more center back, especially at left-footed center back. So he will be available for selection against Aston Villa on Wednesday. And then obviously also for the next game against Nashville.
Well, that's good because Nashville has some scorers, don't they? They can put the ball in the net.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier, and I think it's a good way now for us against Aston Villa to have everybody on the field, to give everybody minutes. Same what Aston Villa will do. It's a great opportunity to play against an international top team, but we still obviously need to focus on our domestic league most importantly, and this is an opportunity to get the 3 new guys on the field to get used to each other in a more competitive mode than just training. And Nashville, they're doing well. They're flying. A team which nobody really had on the list to be up that high this season, but they're performing brilliantly. They can score. They have Hani Mukhtar, an absolute brilliant player in midfield, and it's just a very good squad. And they're proving week in, week out that they are one of the teams to watch for to go all the way this year.
It was so exciting in that first half, and then the second half disappointment. But what was it on Minnesota's side? Why did they look so overmatched early? I know you're not going to speak for Minnesota, but just your observations. Why did they look overmatched? And then did they apply pressure on you in the second half as well?
Minnesota is one of these teams. They are, how do I describe it the best way? They are, for me, the most effective team in the league. As you saw, they are very intelligent of slowing it down when Boxall slowly walks up and then he launches these long throw-ins into the box. That every time they get a throw-in in the other opponent's half, a minute goes by. So they're playing that kind of football. And it's not always the prettiest football to watch, but it's very successful. And I think that's end of the day, you want to win football games. So that's what they do all season. They have a good counter-attacking footballers. You managed Kelvin Yeboah. That's a player. Don't give him any chances. He will score it. They're very well organized, and I think they don't really care if the other team have a lot of possession. They don't care if the other team is all over them because they're very comfortable defending. Have with St. Clair also a good goalkeeper. And if they go into halftime being 1 goal down, then you never can write them off, and that's happened. They put Holongwane on in the second half. They put Lod on. Both were not 100% fit, but that's potential starters as well. And then they just got better. But I don't think that was just purely Minnesota. It was us again, I think, getting scared of winning a game, and and just being more passive and being more worried about, we are 1-0 up, what's happening next? And I think that is what we have to work on in the next 2 weeks to be comfortable enough to actually keep on doing what we're doing, to keep the pressure on the opponent team, and to be honest, to kill the game. That's our biggest weakness this year, that we are playing a good first half. We are 1-0 up or 2-1 up, or it's still 0-0. Are we having enough chances to really put that game to bed? And we're missing that moment, and then we get punished. And a clever team like Minnesota showed it yesterday. 2 set pieces, 2 penalties, 2 individual mistakes by us, which the referee was both times right. It's 2 clear penalties. And the game was over. And I think that's the moral of the story this weekend.
They had no corner kicks. That's unreal. You had 10 and they had none. I was trying to identify players that kind of have that attitude or that fight that you're describing, and maybe you would agree with me on this, but one player that stands out to me is Conrad Vollum. I like him. I think he's tough, and I think he had a good performance last night. Your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean, if we want to talk a bit about individual performances, I don't think there was many bad individual performances yesterday by Conrad. He's a very high-intense player. He's young, he's quick, he works hard in both sides of the field. Unfortunately, got a yellow card. He's missing the next game against Nashville, same as Chris. So we have 2 guys out again, this time through suspensions. But I really liked what Conrad did. I also thought that Thomas Ostrak was fantastic yesterday. His work rate also being crafty there in midfield, going backwards, winning balls, moving very quickly forward. I was impressive. Edu, I think Edu Löwen had a good game. honestly, I think it was overall, I can't pick out now anybody who completely had a good game, a bad game, or didn't perform up to the level. And exactly what we said last week, that last week I hardly saw anybody who had performed up to the level what he can do. Yesterday the players had good performances, but we just could not really keep that performance up for 90 minutes. And, again, in 2 days' time, nobody looks at it anymore because the only thing which people will remember is another loss, and the good performance disappears. But that's in the public. Internally, we know that we had some good moments and something positive to build on. And that's, I think, what is really important to move forward now into the Villa game, where we can try things and have a weekend off and really have 2 good weeks of training to get the 3 new guys integrated, to see if there is anything else we can maybe do on the transfer market. Not sure about that yet. And then really have 10 more games, focus on that. Still try to win as many games as possible, but also already looking forward for 2026, where we have to make adjustments, how are the players doing, and use that time smartly.
Yeah, you told us you were going to be active in the transfer market, transfer window, and you weren't kidding. After criticizing the team on Sunday, got after it, added a couple of players that were really good yesterday for City. I look forward to this matchup against Aston Villa. I think that's a neat opportunity against a Premier League team, and we look forward to your next visit as well. And then, as you said, a little time off. August 9th against Nashville will be a big one at Energizer Park. Thanks so much for the time, Lutz. Great to see you last night.
Thanks so much, Tom. Have a nice weekend.
You too. Lutz Pfannenstiel, Sporting Director, St. Louis City SC. We'll take a break. We'll check in with the man in charge of the Cardinals transfer window, and that would be the trade deadline in 4 days. That's John Mozeliak. He's with us next on KMOX.
KMOX Weekend at your service, sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friend Mark Cantor at Cantor Injury Law. So as you know, I'm a lawyer, so I take this very seriously. Mark is a great attorney. He has a great team. He is from St. Louis. He is local. Call 314-628-9999 or visit cantorinjurylaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan with McKelvey Homes. Did you know that McKelvey builds custom homes on individual sites throughout the metropolitan area? We have sites in prime locations from Rock Hill to Wildwood, including several in the coveted Ladue School District. Experience why many have chosen McKelvey Homes with our legendary quality and personalized service to build their dream home. Visit our newly completed Turnberry at 19 Beaver Drive, just north of Ladue and east of Lindbergh. It is loaded with features and now open. Visit McKelveyHomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
Outdoor living, Chesterfield Fence and Deck can do that for you. ChesterfieldFence.com. If you want a great outdoor space, yesterday we were doing some cleaning out on the patio. Of course, my mind starts to wander. What could it look like if I called Chesterfield Fence and Deck and asked them for this and for this and for this? It's a great place, Chesterfield Fence and Deck. The sign you have the very best: fences, decks, patios, sunrooms. You name it, they have it for outdoor projects and space. Chesterfield Fence and Deck. They are located in Chesterfield Valley, but they cover the entire St. Louis metro area, and they have done so since 1968. Nobody does it like Chesterfield Fence and Deck. The finest products and the best in service. Visit them online at chesterfieldfence.com. Mention me, Tom Ackerman, when you talk to them. They'll get you 48 months interest-free financing from Chesterfield Fence and Deck.
Concerned about where your retirement is heading? Is it on track to meet your needs and goals? Are taxes and inflation a constant worry? Well, you can join Jerry Means for What Retirement Means to You, powered by Means Financial Group, and find out how their team can help guide you to that retirement you've always dreamed of. Tune into What Retirement Means to You with Jerry Means, Saturdays at 3 on KMOX, the voice of St. Louis. More details at meansfinancialgroup.com.
This segment, Cancer Center Spotlight, how innovative immunotherapy is showing promise against aggressive T-cell cancers. Dr. John DePercio.
Patients have come here from all over the United States and, in fact, all over the world to get evaluated and treated for this treatment. We hope that this can be continued, that we demonstrate in a clinical trial that it's safe and effective, and that ultimately it will be approved by the FDA so it's available to everyone in the world.
For more information, visit siteman.wustl.edu.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM. Visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Now, back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning on 104.1 KMOX. From the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here is Tom Ackerman.
As always, it's a pleasure to bring in the Cardinals president of baseball operations, John Mozeliak. Cardinals taking on the Padres this afternoon. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Tommy. How are you?
I'm doing well. Always good to talk to you. I may go sit in the seats today, get myself a popcorn and watch things unfold. This is really heated between these two teams. And you know what? There's an entertainment factor there. I know you'd rather not have that, but these teams are not loving each other at the moment, it appears.
Yeah, definitely some tension. I think, look, in Contreras' case, he's been hit a lot this year, and I think just a little frustration there, and then a little tick for tack, I suppose. But look, playing a little better baseball this weekend, which is good to see, and hopefully we can take advantage of that today, get back in that win column, and feel good about where we're going as we approach this trade deadline.
Yeah, there are a lot of things at play here. One, you're looking to see as a team, as you have all year, what this team is going to look like in 26 and beyond, who's going to be playing where and how they look, but also how much does this affect the deadline when they start to win, when they drop back? Has it been a fluid situation for you?
That's one way of putting it. Obviously it's delicate. We're still trying to find a way to remain competitive, to try to get ourselves into October, to take the roll of the dice and see where it ends. But in the meantime, you're on the calendar, you're on the clock. And what that means is if we don't make any decisions with our roster prior to the 5 o'clock Central on July 31st, then there's nothing left we can do. And, obviously we're in a unique situation. We have some talented arms that people are interested in. And I think we owe it to the organization. We owe it to our fan base to at least listen, explore, and see what that might look like. And, those are never fun things to do. You'd like to be on the other end where you're looking to add, but maybe there might be some version of addition by subtraction as we go through this.
Has it been mostly arms? I mean, I never ask about players, as people know. You and I we don't talk about that. It's been the policy, but is it mostly pitching? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, most people going into the trading deadline are focused on arms. And the reason being is because you're trying to make that final push in the last 2 months to play for a third month. And so that's usually where you start to see teams, players hit fatigue moments, and it's just good to replenish. And, my time of being on the buyer side, you're always looking for pitching. That's just the name of the game. Now, when you look at our everyday club, as far as position players, we don't have anybody really on expiring contracts. So there's no real push to try to move one of our position players. It's not to say people aren't calling about them, but I think trading deadline trades for players that have controllable years is much more difficult than the expiring contract model. But, we have 5 days left. We met this morning with my team and we, talked through some things, and we just want to remind ourselves we got a lot of time left in this because, as you know, trading deadline usually comes down to that final hour with lots of things going on. But, if we're able to accomplish something before that, we're not going to let the clock dictate that we wouldn't.
I definitely understand that. I get asked this a lot, so I'll have you answer it so that I can get it right and answer people. They want to know how involved Chaim Bloom is at the deadline. I know that you're the president of baseball operations. Can you describe the collaboration with Chaim when it comes to this?
Yeah, I would just say he's part of the team. The way we have it set up is everybody has a voice in what we do, and he's one of those voices. And, there are some things where if it was dramatically a very black and white issue that's going to affect the future, obviously I would loop him in to a different level than just the voice. But at this point, the collaboration of the group is pretty equally divided, and it's my responsibility just to manage it.
You designated Eric Fetty for assignment. It just eventually that string came to an end as Michael McGreevy joins the rotation. Just let us in on that final decision.
Yeah, obviously I was trying to figure out a way if we could get Fetty back to when we acquired him. Pitched really well last year. Early on in the season was, a positive contributor to our rotation, but the last month has just been very difficult. And, when you're trying to win games and you find yourself down 2-0, 3-0 early in a game, it can be very disheartening. And so, ultimately just we couldn't get it going. And obviously he'll have a couple months to try to reset himself somewhere else.
McGreevy is certainly a bright spot of the 2025 season, shows a lot of promise. Any other pitching in the minor leagues that is getting you excited for the future?
Well, obviously we had a very strong draft, so we're excited about those arms. I think, as we look to next year, Quinn Matthews is starting to get himself back on track, which is good to see. I think a lot of these guys have emerged as really good-looking bullpen arms in the sense of Fernandez, Graceffo, Swanson. And so I think as you look at 26 and beyond, there's a lot of horsepower in that bullpen, and I think that'll be a strength of the franchise moving forward.
There was a question on Twitter about JJ Weatherholt, about his ability, and if JJ is forcing your hand at all at the deadline. Would that entice you to trade a lefty back because you have JJ coming? I'd say this, JJ's been unreal. It has been fun to watch him.
Yeah, he's doing exactly what you'd hope he'd be doing. He's swinging the bat well, having a very productive transition to AAA, which is exciting to see. And in terms of how that affects the deadline, again, I think position players that have years of control, these are sometimes much easier to address in the off season than during the trading deadline. But, look, as I said earlier, there's 5 days left. If somebody wants to make us rethink something, then we certainly have the ability and be able to be nimble enough to make that if we have to.
Always great to catch up with you. Have a great day today, and I'll probably be over there catching the Cards Padres. Looking forward to it. Thank you for the visit.
All right, enjoy.
Good to talk to John Mozeliak, the Cardinals president of baseball operations. Busy man getting ready for the trade deadline, which is 4 days away. We'll break down the deadline with Bernie Miklasz on the way in just a few minutes. You're listening to Sports on a Sunday morning from the Stifel Sports Studio.
The KMOX STLCitySC Soccer Showcase, presented by Michelob Ultra. It's the Hot Shot Sports Bar and Grill on Limburg, Thursday, August 7th. A limited number of fans can get an autograph or picture with City SC defensive midfielder Jake Gerwood-Reich. Register to win great prizes. Enjoy great food and a cold drink. Hot Shots on Limburg, the place to be Thursday, August 7th from 5 till 7 p.m. for the City SC Soccer Showcase, presented by Michelob Ultra. For more info, KMOX.com/events.
Don't let mosquitoes ruin your time outdoors. At Rottler Pest Solutions, our mosquito control services are designed to dramatically reduce mosquito activity so you can enjoy your yard in peace. Take back your yard. Visit Rottler.com today to learn more and schedule your free inspection.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley for i3 Broadband, the internet provider in the Pauley household. I think you'd love it if you had them as well. We've got the 2 gig package at our home. 2 gig upload, 2 gig download, mirrored, and we're spending less money than we did with the cable company for lesser service. Plus, right now, they've got savings over $400 beyond their already low standard pricing. You got questions? They've got answers. Call 877-976-0711, and they've got people there who can answer all your questions, or head to their website, i3broadband.com.
When it comes to baseball in St. Louis, there's one station that's all in. KMOX. At noon, it's the Gas House Gang.
Let's talk some baseball.
Smart, unfiltered conversation with real baseball minds. At 5, the Redbird Rush Hour delivers sharp insight, fresh takes, and the latest from inside the clubhouse.
Now the pitch.
And when it's game time, we bring you every single pitch, all season long.
It's a gunner!
Others talk sports. We live Cardinals baseball. 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Summer is here. Time to enjoy baseball, barbecues, and the shade of your trees. When it comes to tree care, call the certified arborist at Gamma Tree Experts. Hi, I'm Tim Gamma. Protect your valuable trees from storm damage or devastating insects such as the emerald ash borer. Knowledge and quality are hallmarks of our reputation. For pruning, spraying, fertilization, or removals, call Gamma Tree Experts today at 314-725-6159 or visit us at gammatree.com. Your trees deserve the best care.
Feel like everything's clouded by doubt? Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com. Our psychics are available to talk 24/7, and we guarantee if it's not life-changing, it's free. Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
Out here in the middle of these acres, it can feel like you're the only person on Earth. That's how it feels when you're struggling with your mental health. But you don't have to feel alone. Find more information at loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Now is the perfect time to start on your next success. Apply now and save with no application fee. Classes start August 13th. An accredited state university, University of Maryland Global Campus, offers online and hybrid courses. Plus, you can earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits towards a master's. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chevy.
A powerful threat calls for a greater response.
When there's a battle, bring strength.
When there's a problem, seek answers.
When there is doubt, give hope.
Not tomorrow.
Not in a few years.
But right now.
Some battles must be faced together. Cancer fighters stand up to cancer every day. And you can be part of this battle too.
Visit standuptocancer.org/American Airlines to learn more.
Together, we can save lives.
Cards manager Ollie Marble joins the Gas House Gang every Tuesday at noon. Sponsored by Siteman Cancer Center on the voice of the Cardinals. 104.1 FM, KMOX. Now, back to the Great Bar Sports on a Sunday morning on 104.1 KMOX. From the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, here is Tom Ackerman.
Our visits with Bernie Miklasz, sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, SaligaHeatingandCooling.com. Hello, Bernie. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Tom Ackerman. Trying to monitor this wild card race in the National League and wondering, other than the top teams in it, like the Cubs and the Mets, the Phillies, whatever, does anybody else want that third spot? No, I'm serious, dude.
I mean, in all
they're
serious,
all terrible.
In all
They're all
serious,
terrible.
do you think the Cardinals really have a shot at a wild card?
All right. This is something I'm going to raise my hand and say that I was negligent, or I have been negligent about taking something into consideration, which is, okay, number one, we're KMOX. This is St. Louis. I work for STL Sports Central. So obviously 75, 80, 85% of our attention is going to be paid on the Cardinals. And it's like, well, gosh, they did this bad. Boy, what a terrible road trip. My gosh, starting pitching's falling apart. My gosh, the offense is hit or miss, all or nothing. And so we tend, let me just say me, I'm not going to put anybody else in this. I tend to focus on the stuff that's going wrong for the Cardinals. And a lot is sort of going the wrong direction, right? But it just occurred to me, like watching the Padres and then doing some homework. You know, can I throw a couple of things at you?
Yeah, please.
The Padres were 12 games over 500 on May the 14th, right? That was the second best team winning percentage in the National League. Since then, they are 29-34. They've got the 10th best record in the National League. They're on a 2-4 road trip. They're 11-12 since June 29th. Their offense is just awful. I mean, there's like very little power. They don't hit with runners in scoring position. In their last 63 games, they've averaged 4 runs a game, which is below league average, and they don't hit home runs at all. All right, let's switch to the Giants. Now, granted, by the way, the Padres have a winning record. I get that. But we're talking about, if I'm going to sit here and say, well, the Cardinals are trending in the wrong direction, well, the other teams are too. Like San Francisco Giants, they're 54-51. Okay. They were 12 games over 500 on June the 13th. They've been 13-22 since then. And since they got Rafael Devers, they're 13-20 since getting him into the lineup. And he hasn't done anything really. And they're another team that does not hit home runs. The Giants also have only 3 healthy starting pitchers right now. They're going to use a bullpen game today, and then they're going to rush up some guy from the minors to start tomorrow. Okay, let's talk. The only team that's going well among the ones that are in the hunt for the third wild card spot, the Reds. They have been up and down all season, but they have won 9 out of their last 13, and they have pitched very, very well, and they've averaged 5 runs a game. My point is, we can talk about the Cardinals' concerns, problems, etc., because those things are legitimate. But they have a chance only because the teams that they're fighting with are having big-time problems of their own. But, this leads us to the number one question. Okay, well, what does John Mozeliak do? I mean, they have a chance because these other teams are letting them stay in this thing. But I still don't know what Mo will think. And by the way, the Marlins come into town tomorrow for 3. And as you know, the Marlins are the hottest team in the National League this side of Milwaukee. So it's not like this is going to be a rollover series.
Right.
It's interesting.
I mean, all of these things. Yeah. I mean, the Rockies handed it to the Cardinals, for crying out loud. The Pirates shut them out in 3 games. And then the Cardinals, of course, take the first 2 against the Padres. They've handled some other teams. What got my attention was how the Yankees have fallen 6.5 behind the Blue Jays in the East. They lose Aaron Judge. They're 8 games over 500. I mean, they're a losing streak away from being close to the Cardinals record, for goodness sakes. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. And then,
yeah.
But yet when the Athletic releases their power rankings, which they do each Monday or so, they'll still have the Yankees ahead of Toronto. But there's no bias, is there? Right?
It's unreal.
Well, Toronto, that's a team up in Canada. They can't be better than the Yankees, right? Oh my gosh.
Oh, the Yankees.
You wonder why people think we in the media are goofballs.
The thing about the Cardinals is, and of course I want the Cardinals to do well. Of course, I'd love for them to make a run. It's entertaining. It's great for us. It's great for our radio station. But with the rotation the way that it's been, I just, I can't see it. They would have to really lock it down. And McGreevy would have to be a huge part of that, which is possible, I guess. But, we'll see.
Well, and let me just update a stat that I've been, going with, because to me, it's the thing that underlines what you're saying, because we're talking about the last 50 games. That's not like the last 20 games or 10 games. The last 50 games. The Cardinals starting pitching ERA 5.72 is the worst in the major leagues.
Oof. I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah, it's 5.72. So here's the deal. Sonny Gray has not been himself, and I'm sorry for them to really make a run at this. And I agree with you totally. If you're starting pitch, first of all, we know the Cardinals have a really, really, really good bullpen. And by the way, this just didn't start in July. This has been a really good bullpen since the end of April. Really good, like top 3. Top 5. So the Cardinals can, if they keep the relievers they have, and I'm not saying, well, they should or they shouldn't at this point, but if they do keep the relievers they have, you can count on the bullpen being strong. the Cardinals offense is just, you never know what's going to show up from night to night. But one thing I've learned, and this is hardly any kind of revelation, all these years of covering ball, if you have good starting pitching, it'll cover up a lot of your weaknesses. It really will, because run prevention is huge. So if you're starting pitching solid, if it's decent, your bullpen's really good, and you can win a lot of games. Your defense is really good. You can win a lot of games just through run prevention. But for that to happen, and can I call something up real quick?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I'm doing it on the fly, but I like to have good info for y'all. Here are the starting pitching ERAs since May the 30th. That's, in other words, that's the last 50 games. Sonny Gray, 4.64. He's got to be a lot better than that. Libator, I thought he was okay last night, but bottom line, since May 30th, his starting pitching ERA is 5.76. Palante, 5.77. Miklasz, nice game the other night, but an ERA of 6.17 since May 30th. And then you have McGreevy, and I'm not really counting him in there because he's only made like 3 starts since then. So, but he's going to have to step up big. But it's a lot of pressure to put on him. Like all of a sudden he's got to be sort of like their number 2 starter. I mean, that's not fair to the guy. But Sonny Gray, and listen, my purpose here isn't to dog out Sonny Gray, but he's making $25 million this year, and he just needs to do better. It's as simple as that. He absolutely has to do better.
He does. What did you think of John Mozeliak? I don't know if you had a chance to hear what he had to say. Here's a comment from Bill saying, interesting comments from Mo when you asked twice about existing position players, specifically left-handed bats. He didn't squash it. So I would say they are definitely listening. I agree. He said they're listening. They're going to listen to offers. But he said, Bernie, this is mainly arms. They're getting calls about their arms. I think we know who those names are. And moving on from there.
And it's been my policy that they should listen to offers on everybody. And it's not that I'm saying, well, they need to move this guy. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying players that we recognize in St. Louis are pretty good players, like Brendan Donovan. I'm not saying trade Donovan. I'm saying, listen, if there's so much interest in a Brendan Donovan, that's been reported elsewhere, well, then you got to listen to the offers. That's all. You don't, you're in the position the Cardinals are in, you're going to just say, no, I don't even want to talk about that. No, they're not going to do that. So there's a lot of guys that might draw some interest closer to the deadlines. There's a lot of people looking for outfield bats, middle infielders. So I think they ought to put everything on the table, and then we could have a case-by-case discussion, which we don't have time to do today, about, does it make sense to trade player A or player B? That's another conversation for another time. But the other thing is we don't know what's being offered. It all depends on the offer. But I think John Mozeliak ought to be, as creative as he wants to get and think outside the box, or trade a major league player for a major league player. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do this. But yeah, if we all had to bet our $2, we're focusing on all of those relief pitchers. And it's not just Maton and Helsley and Matz. It's also Jojo Romero, who's been absolutely phenomenal since late April.
I also get this one a lot, and this is Tommy Cross, says Mo can't be a part of the trade deadline. He's a lame duck president of baseball operations. Bloom should be solely in charge of it, in my opinion, says Tommy Cross. Mo's answer on Heim's involvement is he is part of the team. Therefore, these are team meetings that they're having about the deadline.
I got mixed feelings on this because I don't want to be a phony. If I had to say, boy, I wish it was this way, I would say, okay, Chaim Bloom has learned enough about the Cardinals because, this is his second year of studying the Cardinals. He was here most of all of last season. He's been here all off season plus all of this regular season. So my point is, and I'm not trying to demean him or anybody else, but the point is, how long do you need to study the Cardinals before you can sit in there and say, okay, we're going to make this trade. That's a great offer. Let's take it. He didn't show up like 2 weeks ago, right? So in some ways, Tom, a friend of mine asked me, said, have you ever seen anything like this in St. Louis? And my answer is no. Like where you have the guy who's on the way out and who has not been, the thing has not gone well for him in recent years. But he's on the way out, and this is one of the more critical deadlines they've ever had, in modern Cardinals time, during the DeWitt era, I should say. And yet he's the one, technically, he's the boss, he has all the authority, but the guy that's going to take over and also take over this roster and the problems that come with it, he doesn't have the authority. Now, when I said I have mixed feelings about this, let me throw in part two, because I believe this. There are two sides to this. I trust that John Mozeliak won't just have Heimblum on the team or part of the loop. I think if Heimblum will be forthright about an opinion, so Mo, I really don't like that. Here's why. I think Mo will respect his opinion. I don't think he's going to dismiss his opinion and kind of blow him off. I think they have a really good relationship, but it's still a very awkward situation.
It is. I remember Doug Armstrong was the GM in waiting for Larry Plow. I just can't remember how involved Army was. But he was very involved.
He made the Halak trade.
Yeah, he did.
Even though technically he wasn't yet the general manager, but he made that deal.
That was his first deal.
Right.
And it was 2 years after they had announced that he was going to take over for Larry. But yes, it was that was a big deal, and I remember it well. And by the way, that transition turned out really good, as it turned out. Bernie, Andrew wants to know, can we make the playoffs? That's up on Facebook. I think we just went through that, Andrew. God love you. I think it's a long shot, but it's possible.
Well, if the other teams continue to roll around and flop, the ones that they're chasing for this third wild card spot, well, yeah, anything's possible. However, that's just one part of it. The Cardinals are very fortunate that the Giants and the Padres have let them hang around, and the fact that the Reds are ahead of the Cardinals, and we don't trust the Reds yet, but they do have Tito Francona managing them, and it looks like it's coming together. So number one is what the other teams are going to do, right? Number two, though, even if Mo keeps the team he has in place, and I'm not saying he will, but even if he does, right? This is a team that's got a losing record going back to late May. It's a team that has the worst starting pitching ERA in the majors since late May. So it's one thing for me to talk about, well, the Giants have done terribly. The Padres have done terribly. The Reds are kind of up and down and all over the place. So the Cardinals can do this. Well, the Cardinals can do this in theory, but not if they play the way they have been playing over the last couple 2 to 2.5 months. That they have not been a good team. That's a fact.
Always good to visit with Bernie Miklasz. It's a Sunday morning. We can't do the show without Bernie. We love these final segments. Have a great rest of your day, buddy. Enjoy the game.
And we'll chat. We'll be together again on the Gas House Gang on Tuesday.
Yes, sir. That was a good one last week. That was a good one last week.
Everybody take care.
Have a good one.
Sunday.
Bernie Miklasz with us. Sports on a Sunday morning. Cardinal baseball comes up next.
Get ready, St. Louis.